This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CacheFly.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your house. Go to ring.com/knowhow and get up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit. And by WordPress. Your customers want to find you. Build a WordPress.com website and help them connect with your business. Get 15% off any new plan purchase at WordPress.com/knowhow. Today on Know-How,
we'll show you how to put Flash Briefings in your Amazon voice assistant.
welcome to Know-How. It's a Twitch show where we build, bend, break, and upgrade. I am Father Robert Ballos here.
And I'm Patrick Delahanty.
And for the next however many minutes it takes, we are going to open up your brain like a voice assistant so that all the commands of knowledge can be stored in your database. That kind of fell apart at the end.
And
but
shared with everybody else.
That's exactly what we're going to do. Now, here's a thing. All the voice assistants from all the various manufacturers, and we're going to try really hard to avoid the trigger words in this episode, folks. That's harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
They have some ability to get flash briefings. At least that's what Amazon calls it, or you know, cards. That's what Google will call it. It's this idea that you give a little tidbit of information that gets people piqued, and then maybe it draws them into the larger content that you created. This is a good thing. It's a marketing technique.
Yeah, and it's a good way to distribute your content to more people and hopefully get them interested in the content you provide, get them to your website, and make money.
And that's what we've been using here on Twit. If you didn't know, we actually do flash briefings for Amazon's ecosystem. So if you have any other voice assistant products, from the Echo to the Dot, you can actually subscribe, and then you can just say, play my flash briefings, and it will give you the little tidbit, the little 30-second or 60 or 90-second thing. And if any of those stories sound interesting, then you go ahead and you go to the longer story.
Yeah, and when you're getting ready in the morning, you can listen to the flash briefing and just see what was the news of the day. And we have that for Twit, and we provide it from various shows throughout the week. Every day of the week, there's new content. And that you can also subscribe to other providers, and it'll list them all off. And so it's a very useful tool.
Well, let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
You're the man who kind of, you machinate everything behind the scenes here at Twit. You make sure that the content pipelines are filled. You make sure that everything's in the right format. In your mind, who is the audience? Who are the people who will most need to create flash briefings?
I think this is for anybody who's already doing content. If you've got a blog and you're writing up some news articles of the day, then you could put together something for a flash briefing. I have my website that lists conventions, and I have a flash briefing for that lists the conventions of the week. And so as long as you're publishing content, there's probably something you could figure out, like, okay, I can do this daily thing to provide to people.
Oh, it's not just a blurb of audio.
No.
That's what we use a lot. We have the TNT crew and Leo for most of his shows. They all do flash briefings. But you can also do text as well, right?
Yes. And so the one I have on my site is a text flash briefing. So it's text to voice. And the device will read the text in its voice and tell me all about it, instead of me having to record audio every week with a new update.
All right. So guide me through this. Let's assume that I've got a blog, I've got a podcast, maybe I've got a YouTube show, maybe I do a stream on Twitch, but I'd like to reach out to a larger audience, maybe the audience that I can get through the Amazon ecosystem. What's the very first 2 or 3 steps that I have to do in order to make this happen?
In order to publish a flash briefing, you need to create either an XML feed or a JSON feed. And in this episode, I'll show the format, but I'm not going to go into the programming of the actual creation of this. That could be a whole separate topic in whatever language you want to do. Basically, we'll look at the output of what your script will do in JSON or XML. And once you have those, you can go and sign up on Amazon's site, and I'll go through this process. And you you input their flash briefing, tell them all about it and what the title is, and give it art. And
is this anything like setting up an RSS feed? You were on Know How, I think 2 years back, showing people the simplest way to make an RSS feed so that people could get constantly refreshed on the content that they're releasing. It sounds like a different process, but is it the same idea?
In terms of creating the RSS feed, it's exactly the same idea. Okay. It's a different format. Like there's one that you would use for news updates. There's one you would do for podcasts. And this is just, another style of RSS, different tags you need.
Okay, run me through it. So,
right.
First of all, I have to have a developer account, right? I can't do this with just any Amazon account?
You can use your Amazon account as a developer account.
Do I have to activate it, or is it automatically a developer account?
Well, you go into their developer console, and you just go through the process.
So that's developer.amazon.com.
Yes.
You just tell it what your account is, and it will activate developer options for you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So once I've got that, guide me through the process.
Okay, so I don't know if you have my screen here, Burke. Okay, here's the dashboard we get once we've signed into the developer console. We'll click on the third tab here, which is for the voice assistant. And then there's a skills kit. So we'll get started down there. And here it shows all of the flash briefings that we've got here at Twit. There's a test one that I've been using for development and testing things, so I don't have to change the live one. And then there's a UK version and a US version.
Now, we should mention that it's actually very important to have something like, if you go back to that screen, stay on that screen, Burke, something like that test version in your account, just because you do not want to be experimenting with the live version. At any given time, someone could be calling for this flash briefing, and if you're messing with it, they might get something totally strange.
Yeah, I don't want to mess this up. It works fine as it is. So I have a test version that only I can access, and I'll show you how to do that once we get into the setup here.
Okay, all right, keep it going.
And so we're gonna add a new skill here. We'll create a brand new flash briefing. And so we'll just run through this. The skill type we want is the third one, Flash Briefing Skill API. And that eliminates some of the options down at the bottom. The language, you can do this in German and both English and UK.
Or as
US.
Ian would say, proper English.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually don't remember what the difference is between our two Twit ones, between US and UK. It may just be a couple.
It just sounds fancier in UK, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's how that works.
So we'll name this the Know How Test
Testy
Briefing.
There we go.
Save. And you have to save every page, which is kind of annoying. And then next we will go, it's flash briefing, so there's really no other interactions to define. It's just either what's my flash briefing or what's in the news. Custom error message. This is fun because you can type in something like, oh no, something didn't work right.
Now, is this for the voice side or the text side? Or for both?
This is for both. And so, I don't know if you can hear this.
I think you've turned down your volume.
No, it's going through the board.
Oh, it's going through the board. Okay, never mind.
But yeah, it would say this if for some reason your feed was unavailable. Yeah. So if your feed is not available, then it will say this, like if your server's down or something. So we'll add a new feed. I will try this.
Oh no, something didn't work right.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to sound like.
And then we add the feed. So this is the preamble. This is what you hear when you are starting the flash briefing. So when it starts to play, it'll say, on ours it says, from this week in tech. And then it will play the actual flash briefing.
Right. And we actually have a template that all the producers know, that all our flash briefings sound more or less the same.
Yeah. And so this is what they hear before it even gets to our audio. And so for this, we'd probably want to say like, from Know How,
right.
And then it would...
From the Twit TV network, this is Know How, and then it starts the flash briefing.
Yeah, and it gives examples here. You can say in developer news, or from. So we'll say from Padre and Patrick.
From Padre and Patrick.
Okay, it's a little chunky there, but okay, it sounds good.
And you can adjust it so it sounds like something you want people to hear every time they hear your flash briefing. You don't want it to be too long either. And then the name of your flash briefing. So this is the name of the feed. You can actually have multiple feeds in there. I actually haven't played with that, but I'm not sure how that would work. But anyway, so this is our know-how info dump. And how often does it update? We'll say daily. And
okay, now I got to ask about this. So update frequency. If I set it for daily and I don't update daily, what happens? It just goes
nothing.
stale, or
it would keep replaying the same one. But after about a week, it realizes, okay, this is old content. I'm not gonna play it anymore.
Well, what if I say weekly, but I start pushing out daily?
It would update it every day.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is just sort of you saying this is probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it gives people an estimate of how often it's going to have new content in it.
Oh, also, yeah, if you go to your list, it will actually tell you what kind of a briefing it is. Is it a weekly or a daily?
Yeah.
I got it.
And so like when we do the Twit ones, there have been a couple days here and there. I think like Christmas, we didn't put one out. And so there's some days we skip, and it will play the last one. It doesn't just come back with the same thing again, or with nothing. But anyway, the content type, here's where you select text or audio. And
oh, so do I have to make a different feed for text and audio? I can't, so I can't just make one and it does both?
No.
All right.
You've got to decide if you're going to do a text feed or a audio feed. And I'll show examples of both of them here because either of them might fit somebody's needs better. We'll start with text. Content genre, so we'll say this is technology. But yeah, they've got humor, lifestyle, sports, arts, other. But it's generally for news stuff. The URL, I'll come back to this later because I'm going to actually show the content of the feed and then we'll paste it in. And the upload image, this needs a 512 by 512 PNG. And so I have one on my desktop here, which is just the Twit bug. There it is.
There you go. Okay.
So we'll save that. Oh, it's freaking out. There's no feed. I guess I have to put that in.
Yeah, just give the URL. We can always go back. So HTTP, feeds, that's what.
And this is only a temporary thing, so people don't subscribe to this because it's going to go away after this demo. We'll do BertNews.xml.
So this is a file that you've already created. You've already created a list with some content.
Yes, okay. And I've already uploaded it to the server. We can change it and try different things.
So in that sense, this is an RSS. It's just a listing of content, and it's going to be able to pull everything from that list.
Yes, this example, I have both the JSON and XML examples. This one is the XML. It's just an RSS feed.
Okay,
So.
all
right, so that's saved. It's got the feed listed there with the icon, and now we'll go next. Test. There's only one option here, and this is, are you testing this? And it's yes. And because I have this checked to yes, I'm the only person who can hear this.
Right.
Nobody can find it in the Amazon store. And you need this for testing. And so this is
do yourself a favor, folks. Don't ever flip this to no. Just because I guarantee you at some point you will be really tired. You will have just created a bunch of content, and you're going to say, I'm assuming it's okay, and you're going to push it out, and it'll be wrong.
Actually, if I switch it to no, nobody can get it.
That's even better.
Because you have to go through an approval process. And so unless I submit it for approval, then...
That makes sense, because they do have standards of the content, and
But the testing puts it up there just for me. And so I can get to it through my app, and it's only showing to me. I've got actually two Amazon accounts. There's the one I use for Twit, just for the flash briefing, and it's hooked up just to this device and this app. And then I've got my personal account where I actually buy stuff. And I needed one tied to here so other people could do stuff with it too.
Okay, so
and I didn't want a credit card because somebody comes in and asks my device to buy things.
Right. No, I would never do that. But how do we test what you just did? So how do we test the feed?
Well, it's not quite live yet. We've got a couple more steps. So it's set for testing on, And then we have to put in some feed information. So this is, we'll say, I don't see technology in here. We'll say movies and TV, whatever. Some of these have subcategories, so we'll say knowledge. Testing instructions. Now for Flash Briefings, there's really not much for the people at Amazon that they need to verify about these. If you're doing a full skill, it's like, okay, well, you can ask it all these things and you can manipulate it this way and it needs to tie into this data. Like the automatic device tracks my car and it needs to know fuel usage. This, it's just, yeah, play my news. Okay. And so here I just say that this is a Flash briefing and
this is, you're really writing a note to the Amazon person who's going to be taking a look at your Flash briefing.
Yeah, and there's not much for them to say that they need to know here. And you can say this plays...
Go ahead and stay on the screen, Virk.
Plays news from know-how. And really, there's not much more to say.
Okay. All right, so next up, I have to choose country, region.
Choose countries. You can say certain countries. If you don't want it to play in Papua New Guinea for some reason, you can do that. But I think everybody's going to want it available everywhere they can. Short skill description. This is just, a short description for the site. And probably want something more verbose than that, but this is just demo purposes.
Now, why do I need both a short skill description and a full skill description? Is this just the way that Amazon markets their voice assistant?
Yeah, this is what will show up on the Amazon site in the store. It will actually be listed as a product. And so you need to have the short one that will display in the app, and then the long one is more details, and it can also be seen in the app, but I think this is also what displays in the store.
Okay,
on the website. Keywords just to help with search, so we'll say.
Yeah, so you're typing Padre, Patrick, and Twit, for our audio listeners.
Yeah, and so if somebody searches Twit, they would find not only the This Week in Tech Flash Briefing, but the new know-how one, which we'll never actually submit.
And these are the icons for the actual Flash Briefing, not just for the channel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so here we need a 108 by 108, which I've previously prepared, and a 512 by 512. So we'll put that in there. And next. And it brings us to our final page, which is privacy and compliance, where we answer some questions. Is this skill allowing users to make purchases or spend real money? No, it's a Flash briefing.
I'm assuming that that's a toggle for them, because if it does, then they scrutinize it much more closely.
Oh, yeah. And they'll want to see, like, hey, are we getting a cut of that? Right. And there's, a lot more.
Is this a scam? Are you trying to steal money from people and it's going to go through our service?
But, if you're not getting, and they'll probably look at it anyway if it's some other skill. They're like, are they lying here? But at least if I admit no, and they see, no, he's not, okay, he's telling the truth.
Right.
But if I say no and they see, oh, he is, then, well, you're rejected.
Right.
Does this skill collect users' personal information? Well, it's a Flash briefing. No. Is this skill directed to, or does it target children under the age of 13? Well, no. It doesn't target them. They can play it.
They could listen if they wanted to, but okay.
Export compliance. Yeah, you can export this to other countries. Fine. It's nothing secret. Does it contain advertising? Well,
ours don't.
No, they don't anymore.
You could.
They used to for a brief time, but they don't. This is actually a new one that they've added in the last few months. That wasn't there when we originally started.
And that, to be clear, all of the big content distributors are doing that because mainly they want to cut. If you're advertising with their service over their equipment, over their bandwidth, they say they should have some. And I actually kind of agree with that.
And they actually don't allow advertising in Flash briefings anymore. So, and then if you have a privacy policy in terms of use, you can put them in there. But they're optional, so you can leave it. Now, if I'm done and everything's tested okay, I can submit for certification, but we're not ready to do that yet.
Right. Next up, let's go ahead and test this. So now that we've put everything together, we've got the privacy policy in place, we've got the content lined up, we're gonna have to see if this actually works. But before we do that, let's take a moment to thank a sponsor of this episode of Know-How, and well, it's one of my favorite. It's the Ring Video Doorbell. Now, you've seen the Ring Video Doorbell here on Know-How. You know that I bought one for my parents because I was a little concerned about them. They've had a lot of break-ins in their place in Las Vegas. The community is known to be a little older, a little more elderly, and thieves have figured out that if they come by at a certain time of day and knock on the door and no one answers, it means they're probably up at the club. They're out, and it's safe to burgle the home. Well, what if I told you there was an easy way for you to make sure that you seemed to be at home even when you're not? Folks, that is the Ring Video Doorbell. Now, Ring makes a mission device. What I mean is they don't just want to create a piece of tech that you're going to buy. They want to give you a piece of tech that's going to help make your life better, help make your home safer. And that's exactly what they do. Today, over 1 million people use the amazing Ring Video Doorbell to help protect their homes. Ring knows home security begins at the front door, but it doesn't end there. That's why they're extending that same level of security to the rest of your home with the Ring Floodlight Camera. Just like the Ring Video Doorbell, Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated camera and floodlight that connects to your phone. With HD video and two-way audio, it lets you know the moment anyone steps on your property. You can see and speak to visitors, even set off an alarm right from your phone. With Ring's Floodlight Cam, when things go bump in the night, you'll immediately know what it is. Whether you're home or away, the Ring Floodlight Cam lets you keep an eye on your home. Ring Floodlight Cam offers an ultimate in home security with high visibility floodlights and a powerful HD camera that puts security in your hands. It was named the Wall Street Journal's Best of CES 2017, and I know why. It's because it's so easy to install, it's so easy to use, and it just works. You can monitor every corner of your property with a Ring of Security kit, and all kits include a Ring Video Doorbell and your choice of either 1, 2, or 3 floodlight cams. You can connect your Ring Video Doorbell with your favorite smart locks and hubs for added convenience, monitoring, and security. So here's what we want you to do. We want you to try Ring. With Ring, you're always home. Save up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit when you go to ring.com/knowhow. That's ring.com/knowhow. And we thank Ring for their support of know-how. Okay, Patrick, so now that we've got this all set up, show me how we actually test it.
Okay, so I've got the Alexa app here on my iPhone, and I'm going into the skills selection. And up in the upper right, there's your skills, and you can see all of the ones that I've created and subscribed to, and there's also the one we created, Know-How Test Briefing. It's already in here, but I have to go and enable it. So it's enabling skill.
So what it's doing right now is it's actually turning this on your voice assistant.
Yeah.
On the hardware itself.
It's essentially sort of purchasing the skill.
Oh, okay.
It's free, but okay, it's ready. And so then I can hit Manage in Flash Briefing. And this brings me to my settings where I have all of the Flash Briefings. And this is currently the only active one I have. And normally you might want several Flash Briefings, but for testing purposes, you really only want one. Otherwise, you've got all the other stuff, and you'll say stop, and then it plays the next one. Okay. So we're all set up here for a test. And if you can go to the wide shot, we'll actually give it a try. Play my Flash Briefing.
Here's your Flash Briefing. From Padre and Patrick. Burke is currently the technical director for this episode of Know-How.
This is true.
He will be operating the teleprompter for tech news.
And so this was all text. Yes, in that little XML feed.
Yeah, this is an XML file.
On Tuesday, he'll also be the studio engineer during All About Android. Oh. For more information on any of this news, ask Burke. That's all from your Flash Briefing.
Oh, nice. And so
everything up until Ask Burke was in
in that
text.
File. And, not bad. That was actually that was a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I'll show you the XML I used, and you'll see it's really simple. And when I first made the audio one for Twit, I was actually surprised how easy this was and shocked other people didn't do it.
Well, I remember the first time I tried to set up an RSS feed, it looked really simple, and then it took forever to get it to work properly. This looked properly simple.
Yeah. No, I spend most of my time tweaking it, just like, oh, I'll make it say this when it starts, and I'll make it do this when it ends.
All right, actually show me what you wrote, so that our audience has an idea of what they need to write.
There are some requirements that you need to know before you start this part. You need to have it HTTPS. It needs to be secure. Even though it's a Flash Briefing, Amazon insists.
Yeah, encrypt everything.
Yeah, that didn't used to be the case, but this is a recent development. And it needs to be in JSON or RSS format, like I mentioned. It also needs to be UTF-8 encoded, so you need to use that character set. So no using emoji. It's not going to know what to do.
If you're using that, it shouldn't work. Really.
You can include 1 to 5 unique items in the feed. So if you could have conceivably Monday through Friday's news.
But it will only take the first 5.
It only takes the first 5. So if you have more, it's just going to ignore everything else. The way we do it on Twit is we only have 1 because we just deliver everything you need to know in that 1, and then you're out. And you need to have it on a server that can handle at least 1 request per minute and have a latency of under a second.
Right, and that's actually something that I know that has caught up some content creators that have flash briefings that have become popular, because it might work on your simple hosting plan if only 100 people are accessing, but if you start getting thousands upon thousands, you don't hit that 1 second mark, it can actually mess you up.
Yeah, and that's for hosting the content part. If you've got an audio one, that could mess you up because it's loading that audio every time it loads. If it's text, Amazon actually caches these.
Oh, much better.
And so if it makes it a bit of a pain if you're trying to update because it doesn't get it immediately, you might have to wait.
You have to wait till
a couple
it refreshes
minutes.
Its cache.
Yeah, but Amazon does save you from some of that.
Okay.
So for text-to-speech speech flash briefing, I've got a sample here that I'll open up. The Burke News flash briefing. So here it is. It's just an XML file.
Now, how quickly would it update? Now, stay on the screen, Burke. So let's say I change this because I realize there's a typo and it sounds weird now. I re-upload my XML file, overwrite the old one. What's the longest it might take Amazon to update on their side?
I've had it updated in just a couple minutes. And,
okay, so they're pretty good about it.
Most of that might have been because we host where we host ours. Maybe that's just propagating out to the servers, but it really wasn't that long. Okay. So I just had to be careful, like, okay, I updated it. If it still doesn't work, it may not have updated yet, so let me just give it a minute, and then it's fixed. Okay. So,
but there's no control like flush cache on the Amazon side?
No,
okay.
But it's fairly quick. So, so I'll walk through this file here. This TTL line is just time to live. And so this is, I have it checking. I don't even know if it pays attention to that, but it's there. 180, I believe that's seconds.
Yes.
The GUID, this is a unique identifier. So every time you update this, you want to change the GUID. You can make up whatever you want as the GUID, but you want to have it unique.
But it has to be unique.
Yeah, and so the way I did this was I have it generating with my text identifier, Burke News,
and then it just
and then I add the date,
Got it.
because I'm not going to be updating this more than once a second.
Right.
And so it's good enough.
Okay.
The title, and this is the title that would show in the app when I play it. And so it would say, okay, today's episode is Burke News. And you can update this every day. So you might have Monday, Burke News, or have the date in there. There's a link, so if people want more information, they can go to this. This actually goes to Burke's profile on the Twit site. The publication date is the date it's published, obviously. And so this is in this particular format with Zulu time. And then the description. And this is what it actually reads. So when we played the text-to-speech flash briefing, this is the exact text it read. You can tell that I've got it indented, and this tabs and spaces don't matter.
Have you ever had to play with the phonetics of a word to get it to say it properly?
Yes,
oh,
I have.
Okay. I remember that from like 30 years ago with the first text-to-speech programs.
Also, commas and periods, because
it doesn't do commas or periods?
Oh, well, the comma is a short pause, and the period is a long pause. And so on my FanCons briefing, I was saying, oh, there's a convention in Lewiston, Maine. And it would have Lewiston, comma, Maine. And say, there's a convention in Lewiston, Maine. And it was really awkward, so I had to tweak it and take the commas out. So there's a convention in Lewiston, Maine.
So wait, how do you test that if it's not already uploaded? You have to drop it into that test account?
Yeah, I had it as a test briefing before it went live, so I could tweak it as much as I want.
I wish there was sort of a standalone, just so that you could read it the way that it would be read through the flash briefing, just so you could do it on your desktop.
Well, you could also, you don't need the device. There is a website you can use if you don't have one of these devices, whether it's the Dot or the others. You can go to echosim.io.
So this is the testing tool for the Amazon Voice Assistant.
Yes, and so when you go to this site, it'll ask you to log in. And because I've logged in with the account I'm using for this, it knows about my test briefing.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted, because I don't want to have to re-upload. If I'm doing that weird thing where I'm playing with commas and periods and phonetic spellings, I don't want to have to upload and then wait for update, wait for update.
You still have to do that.
You still do?
This only takes the place of a physical device.
Okay.
And so here, I'll just do a quick demo of this. Play my flash briefing.
If you can find it.
From Padre and Patrick, Burke is currently the technical director for this episode.
Stop.
Okay. All right. So that's not bad. So I've got a site that I can go to if I don't actually have a device, but I still want to push content out. You've taught me how to use an XML file to actually create the text that it's going to read. And you've given me a step-by-step to get through the process to actually get this skill loaded so that someone can download your flash briefing.
Yeah.
Not bad. So what comes next? Because so far we've been focusing on the text. I create text that can be read through the Amazon Voice Assistant. There's a way to do actual sound files, correct?
Yes, we can do audio, and I'll show you that next.
All right, we're going to get to that in just a second, but first let's go ahead and take another break to thank a sponsor of Know How. Folks, we live in a connected world, and we know that you have to be online. If you don't have an online presence, a website, a link, something that lets people see your work, see who you are, well, it just doesn't work. Now, you could go the old-fashioned route. You could try to cobble together a website, or you could go to one of the most trusted vendors on the internet for making a really, really wonderful presence online. And of course, that's WordPress. WordPress knows that building something new needs to be connected. It makes it easier if you have the right tools to make sure that that connection happens in the right way. That's why we're so excited to have WordPress.com as a sponsor of Know How. We use WordPress.com every day, and let me tell you, whether you're looking to create a personal blog, a business site, or both, creating your website on WordPress.com helps others find you, remember you, and most importantly, connect with you. Now, here are a few of the things that are just going to make you love WordPress. You don't need experience. You might feel a little intimidated going into this, knowing that you're going to have to program, knowing that you're going to have to do things like, well, update your feeds. Well, don't worry about that. That can all be done automatically. You don't have to hire someone. WordPress.com guides you through the entire process. They also have hundreds of beautiful designs to choose from, so you can find one that matches your business, your personality, your style of content. You'll get built-in search engine optimization and social sharing, and their business plan lets you access hundreds of plugins and themes. You can choose a WordPress.com plan, and you'll join a lively community where you'll have access to expert-friendly support. Come and see why 28% of all websites run on WordPress, the web's most popular and the most powerful site building platform. So here's what you ought to do. You got to get started with WordPress. And you can get started today with 15% off any new plan purchase. Just go to wordpress.com/knowhow. That's wordpress.com/knowhow to create your website and find the plan that's right for you. Again, that's wordpress.com/knowhow for 15% off your brand new website. And we thank WordPress for their support of Know How. All right, Patrick, so we've got our text in there.
Yes.
It can now be a flash briefing. I can actually call it up, which is awesome. But let's say I want a little something more. I mean, we are a content network, and it's not all text. In fact, it's mostly talking. And if you look at our shows like TNT or the new Screensavers or Security Now, where Leo does flash briefings, or Jason and Megan do flash briefings, they always record a little audio snippet because it makes it a bit more engaging than having a computer voice read to you.
Right.
How do I do that?
That is a little more complicated, but not much.
Okay.
I mean, in the text one, all we had to do was literally type the text and it reads it. Here, we've got to upload audio and then point to that audio.
Okay.
And the audio has certain requirements, of course.
Okay, so let's break it down to the requirements. First of all, because you said it has to point to that audio, it means you need to have some place to host the audio.
Well, and you need to host these XML or JSON files too. So you could host this conceivably in the same place.
Right. Although there's more of a demand for an audio file than for a text file. Text files are teeny tiny, so that 1 second limit may not be difficult, but if you have a lot of requests for an audio file that can run into several megabytes, that could be a problem.
Yeah, and our Flash briefings get loaded thousands of times per day.
Okay.
And so we do serve these on CacheFly, like all of our other content. So it's a perfect place to serve this. And you'll need to have a good host that can handle just, if you have an audio podcast, you're fine. Whatever's hosting that can probably host this too.
Either have a good host or have a decent host and then use one of the accelerating networks.
Yeah, and you can't do something like have a link to a YouTube file or anything. The requirements are, it needs to be MP3 file, and it needs to be 256K BPS, mono or stereo.
Is it like the text file? Does it have to be HTTPS, or does it have to be encrypted?
It does.
It does. Okay.
So it has to be on a secure host, and also Amazon wants it under 10 minutes.
So a flash briefing is not the entire episode. It is literally a flash.
So the people that are saying, oh, can't you post every episode of TNT as the flash briefing? No, they want it 10 minutes. So if it's an hour-long episode, or like the tech guy for 3 hours, that's not going to fly.
And realistically, that's not what it's for. If you're putting a 10-minute flash briefing, I don't see most people sitting through that.
Yeah, that's a bit long. You want to keep this to a couple minutes so you're in, you get the news, you're out, you're on to the next flash briefing, or you're done.
Okay.
And so those are the requirements set by Amazon. And so here I've got, rather than another XML example, I've got a JSON.
Okay, JSON blob, we love this.
And you can do JSON for text, and you can do XML for audio. You can both of these formats work. I just decided to try one of each for one of
Right, so you've already seen the XML format. This is what the JSON format
this is what the
JSON
JSON would look like. And so up here we've got a UID, and this is like the GUID in the other one.
Right.
You can name this anything. I just decided Daily Shark Fact 1, because this is Kevin's Daily Shark Fact audio flash briefing. The update date, which is the same format, it's the Zulu time. And then the title text, sharks don't have bones, which is, you'll see why I put this. The main text is a longer description, so Kevin's first shark fact of the day. Now, I will say, some of this stuff doesn't actually show up anywhere.
Okay. Yeah, but we're used to that. A lot of the fields we create don't show up anywhere, but it's still good to have them.
Yeah, and so it makes it hard for testing because like, I don't really know what to put in here. Yeah. It does display a title when you play the flash briefing, and it will display an icon, but it doesn't really give you the full description. And so
I will say though that I have used a service with those fields before, and I said the same thing. These are never used, so I'm going to ignore them. And then they change a format, and suddenly you've got all this content that doesn't have any of its fields.
Yeah, and so I didn't want to leave these blank because they could update the device in a month, a week, a year, and
just fill them out. So I know it's a pain.
And so like for the main text in the description, I literally put the exact same thing because. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. Just make sure there's something in the field.
Yeah. And our stream URL, this is the link to the audio file. And you can see here we're hosting on CacheFly. I've got a test directory, link to sharkfact1.mp3, and a redirection URL.
That's to his About page.
So if they want more information, this just goes to his About page. I have no place else to link it. And then down here we've got art. And so it wants both a 512 by 512 and a 1024 by 1024 image to display when this comes up.
Right.
And so when I look at it in the app on my phone, or if you have the video version, it will display the little icon there.
Okay.
When it plays.
Not bad.
So this one is just the twit bug.
I like it. All right. And so is that it? That's all I have to make.
This is it. This is the information you need, and it points to the audio file. And so we will.
Okay. So I upload this JSON somewhere. How do I tell it where to find it?
We go back to our configuration here. I think it's under configuration. We will edit this, and I will change this feed name.
And you have to change it from text to audio because right now the content type is audio.
Good catch.
Text.
It's not Burke News.xml anymore. It is SharkFacts.json. And I forgot. Did I not upload an image here? All right, we'll do that while I'm in here. And save. Bad request.
Oh, JSON, not JSON. You put JSON. There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
And see, that's a good example. It does check to make sure the file's there.
I kind of like that, actually.
Which
it's not dumb enough to just say, okay, whatever.
But it annoys me because I have a Let's Encrypt SSL on my own site. It doesn't like that for some reason.
Yeah.
And so it won't verify when I use a secure HTTPS URL. And I've got to get around that and get a real cert.
You've got to update your cert.
Yeah. The Let's Encrypt certs are free.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like that.
Okay.
Luckily, Twit is using real certs, so this will work. So I've saved it, and we can give it a shot here. It's still in test mode. So why don't we listen to the shark fact of the day.
I would love to hear the shark fact.
Play my flash briefing.
Here's your flash briefing. From Padre and Patrick.
Sharks don't have bones. They're made of cartilage. But their teeth are good for fossilization. Just don't expect to find a full skeleton like other animals and other fish.
Okay.
That's all from your flash briefing.
We should mention that Kevin, who is one of our editors and TDs, is kind of obsessed with sharks.
Yes.
And actually, that's how he sounds every day. He's not depressed. He just sounds like that.
And you know, he probably could fill up a very informative flash
so
briefing.
many shark facts.
Yeah, he could do one every day and not repeat himself for at least a year, I'm sure. Maybe we should set him up with this.
I don't think I want that. I don't, that's not, no.
But, you know, he did his shark one. This could be anything. We've got our tech news going out in a flash briefing just the exact same way. And the JSON code you saw, I literally took our flash briefing code and changed it. That's the same format, everything. It's even on the same server. So if you've been wondering how Twit's flash briefing works, you've seen it. This is how it works. The only thing I haven't showed is the code that generates it, but that's a whole nother topic.
Patrick, this is awesome. I mean, this is real knowledge that our audience can use. If you're a budding podcaster, if you're someone who just wants to tip a toe into the game, this is a great way to do it because you can try a bunch of different styles of content. You can push it out there and see which style and which content area gets the most heat. You know, one of the things that we love about YouTube is the fact that you can get discovery. This is sort of the same thing. As people start to get more accustomed to these voice assistants and the Amazon voice assistant ecosystem with all these different skills and all the different flash briefings, you might just find yourself with a hit with a minimal amount of work. And that's awesome. I love that. It's a force multiplier that we didn't have when we started this.
Yeah. And when we first started this, I submitted for approval. It took about a week.
Yep.
But the ones I've submitted lately, about a day.
Yeah.
And so the approval's fast, and even if you don't have the development knowledge to code something to generate these, you could always just edit these by hand. It's a bit of a pain, but you could do that, get your content out there, update it every day or every week or whatever, and there you have it. You've got your own flash briefing.
I love it. Well, Patrick, this has been a lot of information, I know, and the people are going to be a little, well, they're not going to want to dive straight into this, so we're going to make it easy. Everything that we just talked about, all of Patrick's notes, the step-by-step instructions are going to be available in our show notes. Don't fret. You don't have to watch this 20 times. You can just jump over to twit.tv/KH. If you go there, what you'll be able to do is to access all of our back episodes, but you'll also be able to click on individual episodes and see the show notes. That's the best place for you to find out exactly how to do what we've shown you how to do on the show. Now, as long as you're there, why not jump into the subscription menu? If you subscribe to Know How, it's the best place to support the show. If you want to keep seeing these projects, if you want to get more knowledge from people like Patrick, Jason, Megan, and myself, give yourself the ability to get the version of choice in your device of choice. You can get audio, video, high definition video. Again, go to twit.tv/KH. Also, don't forget that you can find us on the socials. If you go to Google+ and look for Know How, we've got a group with almost 12,000 members. It's a fantastic place to hang out, to find ideas for projects, maybe ask a couple of questions, or if you want to give back to the Maker DIY community, to answer a few questions. It's also a really good place to post videos and photos and descriptions of your projects so we can show them off here on Know How. There's very few things that we enjoy more than watching you take what we've given you and turn it into something even better. Also, don't forget that you can find us individually on the social media thingy, specifically on Twitter. You're going to find me at twitter.com/PadreSJ.
And I'm twitter.com/pdelahanty.
And we've got our guest TD today, who is Burke. And Burke, where can they find you other than in Burke Chat?
Oh, of course. He's in his own Flash Briefing.
He's in a Flash Briefing.
Burke News.
There you go. Until next time, I am Father Robert Ballasare.
And I'm Patrick Delahanty.
And now that you know how, go flash,
Go flash
someone.